It's past midnight in Tel Aviv, and there is a line of people stretched down an alley, packed shoulder to shoulder, waiting, not for a nightclub, not for a concert, for a vegetable. Some of them run companies, some of them flew in from another continent for exactly this, and in a few minutes they're going to eat it standing up, out of a paper bag, with their hands. This is not a restaurant in any normal sense of the word. Locals call it something closer to a ritual. One regular put it to us like this: "It's not a restaurant, it's a theater performance where you happen to get fed." There's a name for this phenomenon, and in a minute we'll tell you what it is. But first, you need to meet the man who started it, because this isn't really a story about a tomato. It's a story about a man who talks to vegetables like they're alive, who turned Israel's cheapest, most overlooked street bread into a global cult, and who insists, completely seriously, that he has no idea what he's doing. His name is Eyal Shani, and before he ever cooked professionally, he was a film student who taught himself to cook from a Julia Child cookbook. No formal training, no culinary school. By his own account, no plan at all. Shani tells one story about how he actually became a chef, and it sounds less like a career decision and more like a religious experience. As a young man, some friends showed up one night with wild porcupines they'd hunted and wine, and they roasted the animals over an open fire and drank until the sun came up. Shani fell asleep in the field. When he woke, he said he had total, sudden clarity. He was going to be a cook. In 1989, he opened his first restaurant, Oceanus, in Jerusalem, building Israeli fine dining almost from scratch, using local tomatoes, eggplant, and wild herbs at a time when that wasn't really a category yet. That restaurant closed in 2000, but the philosophy it built never went away, and it's the same philosophy that runs every kitchen he owns today. Every ingredient is alive, and the cook's job isn't to control it, it's to listen to it. And no ingredient gets listened to harder than the tomato. Shani has built entire dishes around a single move, slicing a tomato in half and squeezing what he calls its ovaries directly over the food, releasing what he describes as the sun and sweetness the fruit has been holding inside itself. It sounds absurd until you realize this is a man who once served a $24 tomato in a fine dining room and got mocked for it in the press, and did it anyway, because to him that wasn't a stunt. That was the whole point. Then, in 2011, he took that same obsessive philosophy and pointed it at the cheapest, most disrespected food format in the entire country: the pita. That decision became Miznon, and it changed everything. Miznon means kiosk in Hebrew, deliberately unglamorous, and everything about how it's run is a calculated assault on how a nice restaurant is supposed to feel. There are no plates. Food comes wrapped in paper, folded into a pita, or dumped straight onto a metal tray or a sheet of cardboard. The menus, where they exist at all, are famously printed in a font that looks like a joke, because to Shani, taking yourself too seriously is the enemy of good food. Pop music blasts from the speakers. The walls, at some locations, are literally scrawled with instructions. Forks and knives are not your friends. Use your hands. And the food itself is deliberately unpredictable, built entirely around whatever's ripest that day. The dish Shani says he's proudest of, not his most famous, his proudest, is the one built on that tomato philosophy. Halves sliced, squeezed, turned into a sauce made from nothing but the fruit itself. On the menu, it shows up under names like naked tomatoes. Tomatoes, the description says, slaughtered in front of your eyes. It isn't the only cult dish. There's the whole roasted cauliflower, technically Miznon's single most iconic item, boiled and then roasted whole until it's bronzed and collapsing, no carving required. And there's the run-over potato, a baked potato smashed completely flat under a heavy weight until every inch of it is coated in sour cream, dill, and garlic. Shani has said the idea came to him after reading about a crime involving a car running over someone repeatedly, and something about that image stuck until he found himself doing it to a potato. It's a strange, slightly dark origin story for a dish that's now sold by the thousands,
and it tells you everything about how this man's brain works. None of this is an accident. The chaos, the loud music, the wait in a packed alley. Shani has said flat out that he doesn't believe in concepts, because to him, a concept is just a system built to manipulate people. But whether he'd call it that or not, there's something happening psychologically in that line outside. You wait, crammed in, disoriented by noise and light and hunger, and by the time the food actually reaches your hands, the release hits harder than it would on any white tablecloth in the world.
Here's the part that shouldn't have worked. You cannot, in theory, package loud, chaotic, unpolished Tel Aviv nightlife and drop it into a corporate street corner in Manhattan or a manicured arrondissement in Paris and expect it to survive contact. But it did. Since that first Miznon opened on Ibn Gabirol Street in Tel Aviv in 2011, Shani and his business partner Shahar Segal have taken the exact same loud, unpolished format to Paris, Vienna, Melbourne, Singapore, Toronto, London, and in 2018, New York's Chelsea Market, followed by Los Angeles. Under the umbrella of Shani's Good People Group, that one alley concept has grown into a global operation, pushing towards 60 restaurants worldwide. And when asked exactly how many, Shani has literally refused to count, saying the number itself would freeze his legs. Every location keeps the same bones, the paper, the noise, the hands-only eating, but each city gets its own pita. New York gets a flattened smash burger. Paris gets boeuf bourguignon folded into bread. London gets fish and chips reimagined as a pita. The chaos travels, the menu adapts. That combination is precisely what let it cut through cities that are already drowning in polished, over-designed restaurant concepts. Because Miznon isn't selling polish, it's selling the opposite of polish, on purpose, everywhere it goes. So what's actually going on here? Why will people in a dozen cities around the world stand in a loud, cramped line at strange hours for a vegetable and a piece of bread? It was never really about the tomato, or the potato, or the cauliflower, or any single dish on that Comic Sans menu. It's about something a lot simpler and a lot harder to manufacture. An unpolished, unpretentious, genuinely human moment. Eating with your hands, standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers, in a world that keeps optimizing human connection into something clean, efficient, and a little bit lonely. Eyal Shani built a global business by refusing to sand down the mess. And it turns out, in city after city, that's exactly what people were starving for. In a world of pristine, calculated dining experiences, sometimes people just want to eat a messy tomato off a piece of cardboard at 2 in the morning. If you want more hidden subcultures and culinary obsessions from around the world, hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. What's the wildest street food you've ever stood in line for? Tell me in the comments.